The Joe Rogan Experience.
Is the Young Turks the from RT or whatever it's called?
TYT.
Yeah. Is that the Russian?
No, it's a different thing.
No. What's the Russian thing that started all the propaganda against
Oh,
5G?
that's Internet Research Agency, the IRA. Against who?
5G, where they were saying like 5G is bad for you.
Oh, did they do that?
Yeah.
The IRA did that?
I think so.
Man.
The 5G shit, that propaganda is and that's interesting.
It's RT as well. There's
RT.
an article that says RT America.
Oh, RT.
Has been sowing disinformation. This is a New York
RT
Times
has
article.
been sowing
Yeah, they're the ones that started all this shit because I guess it's
Your 5G phone won't hurt you, but Russia wants you to think otherwise. Oh, okay. A network known for sowing disinformation has a new alarm. The coming 5G apocalypse. Who is this New York Times?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting that you said New York Times, because the New York Times, if they're printing something, like that's one of the places that I kind of say, if they're saying it, it's probably true. But then did you see what they did to Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks? He was interviewing David Duke, and he goes, "Of course you're not a racist." He's mocking him, and they took it out of context in quotes, and they wrote that he said to David Duke, "Of course you're not a racist."
Wow.
They try to pretend. Somebody just got too woke for their own good. Somebody crossed the line. They crossed the line. They wanted to stop him. And so they got over woke. They lied. That's crazy. That's a crazy lie, though, for that to get into the New York Times. I wonder what the fallout from that was, because that's, for them, that's got to be very embarrassing that someone actually printed that. Because they were forced to make a retraction, but the problem with that is when people hear about stuff like that, there's a lot of people obviously working at the New York Times, a lot of people. So it doesn't represent everybody there. But when someone gets away with something sneaky like that, it really fucks over everybody else. Because then all the other people that are making stories, people are going to go, yeah, you're the fucking people that said that Cenk Uygur said, David Duke wasn't a racist when that's clearly not what he said. Your fucking magazine's fake news. It's all bullshit. You got a shit newspaper. Congratulations. You're going to fuel that. And the New York Times used to have none of that, right? They used to have none of that.
They just issued a correction. And I don't.
Dad, it doesn't mean anything.
I don't see anything else from that.
But the correction's too late. It's in a newspaper.
How many corrections a year do they do? Is what I would like to know.
Well, how many people read the correction versus read the original story? That's what gets real weird. Like if you make something up about someone, then put it down, or make something and interpret it incorrectly on purpose and intentionally, and then you put it out there. How much of a responsibility does the newspaper have, and how much of a responsibility does that writer have for doing that? They probably don't like him. They don't want him to do it. They figure, like, look, fuck this guy. He fucking said it. Did he actually say it? He did say it. I don't know what he meant. Do you know what he meant? Fucking print it. I don't know. I don't know what the process was. But you can't do that if you want us to take you seriously.
But they're still one of the number one. I still take them serious.
I take them seriously most of the time.
Most of the time.
There was another one they did with Conor McGregor. Back when Conor McGregor fought Floyd, and they said his face was bloodied. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. He didn't have any blood. You guys are making things up. You can't make things up.
Did they retract that?
Yes.
They
did.
Because you said it.
They did. But they had to. Everybody saw it. You know the arrogance that you have to pretend that you saw something that wasn't there? Or either that or you're paying attention so loosely before you write the story that you don't even give a fuck how the fight went, and you're going to report on the fight? Come on, man. You can't do that. You got to stop. You're the New York Times. You're not a podcast. Get a podcast if you want to say, spread misinformation and talk stupid shit. That's the difference. Like, nobody takes us seriously. They take the fucking New York Times seriously. You got a serious job, okay? It's like if you're a cop, you got a serious job. You're a reporter, reporting the actual news. You've got a serious job. Because you can change the way people look at things. And it might be a lie. And that got us into a lot of problems in the past. People always think they know better, though. They know better than what everybody else wants. That's where it's a real problem. You think you're doing good by withholding information, or you think you're doing good by censoring people.
Do you get your news mostly from like Twitter or something?
I don't get my news from anywhere anymore. I feel great. I looked at a newspaper the other day. I picked it up, and I'm like, what happened over there? I forget what it was about. It was a story about something. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I read into it a little bit. It was in the Wall Street Journal. I was like, I got other shit to think about. It's a terribly irresponsible way to look at things, but
That's a hilarious quote.
I don't know if you can do that much. I don't know what the responsibility is, like ultimately to completely pay attention to everything all the time. I don't know what responsibility you have. People get mad at you if you don't completely pay attention to everything that's of importance all the time. And they had a point. They have a point. But you also have a point for like self-management and for mental management to probably pay attention to less shit. I feel healthier and happier when I pay attention to less shit. That's why this Iran thing's got me fucked up. Because if something makes me think about it, that means it's in the forefront of the news now. It's like big. It's a big deal. I'm like, oh.